everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday class
Wednesday
that shall not
class.
be named. Good morning again, everybody, and welcome. We hope you're doing well. It's great to see Karen and Stuart.
Stuart there?
Is he not there? Okay, just Karen,
Stuart?
who are
Rapid Slack starting.
still in town for a couple more months now. So we're happy to
Us?
have a.
I'm sorry. Are you talking to us about
Yeah,
us?
yeah. When do you
2 more
leave?
weeks.
Oh,
Do we
two more. I
leave?
thought it was in May. Oh, this is.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
We leave 2 weeks from today is our moving date.
oh my goodness, my bad. We'll make
Yeah.
sure we'll come up and give you an honor.
Okay.
So for those
Karen,
of
are
you
you
here,
still gonna be on this on Wednesdays when you move?
I think so. I mean, that's my plan right now.
well, let's welcome everybody. Let's welcome Lou and Karen and Michael and David and Ron and Arlene and Eva and Paul and Arnold and anybody else who is on YouTube today. We're so excited to be here as the weather is now beautiful outside. It's going to be cold on Sunday, I believe, is the next really cold day. It was really cold yesterday, but today it's probably in the 40s, so it's pretty nice comparatively. We are going to study about Tu B'Shvat. Why are we studying about Tu B'Shvat? Because obviously it's coming up. So Tu B'Shvat is a very important holiday, probably one of those holidays that's more important today than it was in previous ages. Um, and we're going to talk about the meaning of it. It is on Monday, I believe, maybe starts. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the history of it, what it means, and all of these other thoughts on it. So, what is it basically? It is basically Jewish Arbor Day. But we precede Arbor Day, so Arbor Day should be American Tu B'Shvat. So we're changing it because we actually came first with it. Now, again, all holidays have importance. We know it is not a major holiday because to be a major holiday, you have to be in the Torah, which it is not obviously. Everybody, and welcome. Oops, I didn't. So we're going to talk about the meaning of it, but first of all, why is it more important today than it was in previous days?
Because environmental concerns are so prevalent.
That's
My
exactly right.
guess.
I
Yeah.
think I agree. I think we'd all agree that modern technology, starting with probably Industrial Revolution, has changed the game in terms of the kind of damage we can do to the planet. So the mere fact that Tu B'Shvat was created so long ago before we had these true concerns tells us a little bit about how far advanced they were when they created it. So basically, Tu B'Shvat, kind of like Tisha B'Av, is just like the July 4th. It just means the 15th of the month of Shvat. So it's really easy to know when it is because you go to Shvat, which is on the Hebrew calendar, and you go to the 15th. It's one of the what we call New Years, because in Judaism we have 4 New Years. We have the New Year's for the calendar, which is in Nisan. We have the New Year's for Rosh Hashanah, which is the birthday of the world. This is the New Year to the trees, Rosh Hashanah Lalonot, the New Year of the trees, and it is our ecological holiday. And although it is not mentioned in the Torah or the Bible, in the Torah and the Bible we do see various edicts that teach us how to treat the land and everything else. And so we'll talk a little bit about what Tu B'Shvat teaches us, how we celebrate it, and where, of course, we find the basis from it in our history. And again, this holiday goes, or at least the idea of goes, up 2,000 years. So Tu B'Shvat, one of the favorite sayings in Hebrew about Tu B'Shvat comes from Rofei Sus, who says, Ani el Lorax, Ani bedaber be'etzim. And if you don't know who Rofei is, Rofei means doctor. You know who Sus is? Rofei Sus, Dr. Seuss. Ani el Lorax, I am the Lorax. Ani medaber be'etzim, I speak for the trees. If you've never read the Lorax, Dr. Seuss was not Jewish, actually did some political cartoons in the 30s and 40s that weren't always so supportive of the Jewish world, but he stopped being a political cartoonist and became, of course, maybe the greatest children's author in our world. So if you haven't seen the Lorax, I have it in Hebrew here. It is a great book, and so I like to start off by that. Ani el Lorax, ani medaber be'etzim. So let's look at some of the places where we see the basis for Tu B'Shvat, and then we'll talk about how we celebrate it. We'll talk about how we're going to celebrate this year. So from Leviticus, we read, when you come to the land and you plant any food tree, you will surely block its fruit from use. It shall be blocked from use for 3 years, not to be eaten. And in the 4th year, all of its fruit will be holy, a praise to the Eternal. And in the 5th year, you may eat its fruit. Do this in order to increase its produce for you. I am the eternal God. What an brilliant, incredible phrase found in a book written 3,000 years ago at its earliest. It says when you plant the tree and it starts to bear fruit, you don't use the fruit right away. You wait till it becomes stronger, and you wait a couple of years until you know that it is sustainable. Sustainability is so often used. You don't abuse a tree, a fruit tree. You know what? Wait till it is giving fruit a couple of years, then you can use it. But we also know then we have Shemitah, which is every 7 years you let the land stay fallow and you don't glean or harvest. Now, I don't know the technological expertise back then. It may have been better than we thought, but they even understood that going back to the 10 Commandments, where it says human beings are invited to rest on the 7th day because God rested on the 7th day. What God rested means, I don't know what it means. I mean, only brilliant minds like Karen and David would know what it means that God rested. We don't know. Was God kicking back watching football in a lounge chair? It's got to be college football because it's a Saturday. I don't know. But we are given the right to take a day off. So to our animals, and just like every 7 days, we don't work in harvesting on Shabbat, every 7 years we don't harvest. And that is a way to honor God, 1, but also 2, to what? Keep up the strength of the field, just like the Sabbath is there for our physical, mental, and spiritual strength, so too is this idea of the Shemitah year. So too is the idea in Leviticus. Then, hey, we've planted trees. Hold on, let's relax and let the tree really get stronger, or else you know what's going to happen. We're going to have some Wizard of Oz action. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have trees throwing fruits at us. Everybody understand that reference? Anybody read? It's in the book and the movie that the trees are throwing apples from Wizard of Oz. Did nobody saw that? Okay,
Yes.
good. You understood. I was hoping that reference made sense. Sorry. So, What we learned today is if you don't let the land stay fallow, and if you don't give the trees time to rest before you, then they are going to throw the fruit at us. So let's go to what we talked about, the New Year's. This is how important ecology is to Judaism. From the first Mishnah on Rosh Hashanah, so we're talking Mishnah, which is the first part of the Talmud, Rosh Hashanah 1:1, the very first part of the tractate, there are 4 new years. On the 1st of Nisan, which is the month of Passover, so in the spring, is a new year for kings and for festivals. That's where our calendar starts. On the 1st of Elul is the new year for the tithe of cattle. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Hauer placed this on the 1st of Tishrei, which is, of course, Rosh Hashanah. On the 1st of Tishrei is the new year for years, for sabbatical and jubilee years, for planting and for the tithe of vegetables. So on Rosh Hashanah is when a sabbatical or a jubilee year will start. It's also, but on Shvat, on the 1st of Shvat, is a new year for the tree. According to the ruling of Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, Hauer placed it on the 15th of the month. That does not matter. They are giving us 4 new years, and one of them is for the trees. That is an incredible percentage dedicated to ecology. 25% of our new years are based on ecology. So that tells you right away the fact that they put that in Mishnah, Rosh Hashanah 1:1. It's pretty impressive if you think about it, because they did not have the issues we have today. In the Torah itself, it also mentions the importance of trees when it speaks about war. What do I mean? You're in the middle of a war. You're sieging a city and you want to knock down those doors. You got to cut down trees and make whatever the thing is that knocks, what are they called, where you take them and you knock a door down with a giant tree? It's a battering ram or something like that.
Maybe. That's right.
If you're in the war, you still don't use certain trees for battering rams if they're bearing fruit. They're fruit trees. You still don't, even though it's war, because trees take precedent over war. That's just, in the Talmud, it says, our rabbis taught, if the fruit of a tree blossoms before the 15th of Shvat, it is tithes for the outgoing year. If after the 15th of Shvat, it is tithes for the incoming year. So there are even rules for the tithing of trees. Now, we also know, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, that trees are essential to be used for everyone. And we'll talk about how important it is, not just fruit trees, but other trees as well. Excuse me one second. Hi. Oh, just kidding. Okay. So from Midrash Rabbah now, the Midrash, again, is stories, in this case, based upon the Bible, and in this case, the book of Leviticus. So this is Midrash Agadah, or Agadah. That is stories trying to further our knowledge of the Torah coming from the book of Leviticus. So Rabbi Judah, son of Rabbi Simon, or Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Shimon, using Deuteronomy 13:5 as a basis, says, after the eternal your God you shall walk, and unto God you shall cling. So there's just a says you walk after God and you cling to God. So what does that mean? So they try and explain what this verse in the Torah means. What does it mean to walk after God? Is it literal that I walk behind God, And obviously it's not. What does it mean to cling to God? Can I cling to God like a child clings to his or her parents? No, obviously that's not the case, so you have to figure out what it is. Is it possible for a human being of flesh and blood to rise up to the heavens and to cling to the divine presence about whom it is written, for the eternal your God is a consuming fire? Again, can we go up to God in heaven and wrap ourselves around God? And if so, if we're taking that literally, we have to take this other passage literally that says God is a consuming fire. So if we're holding on to God, that means we are basically grabbing a fire, which is committing a terrible form of suicide. So it must mean something else. Walking after God, clinging to God must be something else. So they say, rather, just as from the beginning of the world, the Holy One, blessed be He, involved Himself only in planting, and the Lord planted in the Garden of Eden, so too when you enter the land, involve yourselves only in planting, as it is written. So, what does this midrash say about walk after God, cling to God? If we want to walk after God, if we want to cling to God, then what do? You plant trees. You plant trees. They did not realize, probably, that oxygen comes from trees or is helped by trees. In what way? I'm 56 years old. I still have no idea. I just know plants equals breathing. I don't even know what oxygen actually is. So I barely know what this is, but I know there are scientists who know this is what it is. But they didn't know back then that trees were giving oxygen. They know they gave shade. They know they use them for building things. They know they use them for fruits. They know they look pretty. But without understanding how essential trees are to our world, we still see a lot about saving trees. Does that mean it's coming from God, that God knows trees are needed for oxygen and He doesn't think human beings can understand this yet because science hasn't advanced to that level? Or is it just a general statement that trees are essential? But this is what we read. And it is also very important in the very first story of the Torah. When we see other creation stories, they're all centered on human beings. But our creation story spends the first 5 days and half of the sixth on everything else besides human beings. It's about water, sky, trees, animals on land, water, and air. And then we get to human beings. So obviously, if a lot of time is spent explaining how God created trees, then obviously they're important. But how important? Well, you have to see comparisons. So from Avot de Rabbi Natan, it was a commentary that he wrote. He says, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the Rabban, who was the head rabbi, maybe the most important rabbi of all time. He started the first academy as we know it after the fall of Jerusalem. I used to live on the street Zakkai in Jerusalem, and this is a very famous saying. And we know when the Messiah comes, the Messiah is going to come, and we here are going to be combined with the next world in perfect harmony. We're not going to need to eat, all this stuff. But he says, if you are holding a sapling in your hand, and someone says the Messiah has drawn near, What do? You got a sapling in your hand you're about to plant, but the Messiah's here. You're not going to need food anymore. What do? You still plant the sapling first. You plant the sapling first, and then you go see the Messiah. Now, is he saying that perhaps it's a false Messiah that we do it? Or is he saying even if it's a real Messiah, you do it? That is for conjecture. But we know it says plant the tree before you go say hi to the Messiah, which is pretty impressive, especially for those of us who are not tree planters in general. But I understand how to plant a tree. You dig a hole and you put it in there and then you cover it up, right?
And water it.
And you water it. Well, that part I'm not so up to. That's gonna be for rain. That's what we have rain.
Okay.
Because rain will do it for me. So, for those people who are gardeners, it is about gardening, but it's also on another level. Now, we're going to go into some of the stories about planting trees and about growing. But of course, our favorite story, it's kind of like the Lorax stories for Jews. This is the preeminent story on ecology in the Jewish world. And it's about Honi, the circle maker. Now, what does a circle maker do? I don't know. I'm not sure how you make a living making circles, but that's his name. I know there's debates about what it means to make a circle. If you're a circle maker, you're probably making some really good circles, but that's his name. So, one day Honi was journeying on the road and he saw a man planting a carob tree. And if you don't know what a carob tree is, it is a chocolate tree for kids who are allergic to chocolate. As a person who was allergic to chocolate growing up, that was what they told me chocolate tasted like. I will tell you, they can make a carob look like a chocolate. It does not taste like chocolate.
No.
Chocolate carob is nice, but it's not real. And I don't want to shame my parents, but they told me it was the same as chocolate. But when I felt healthy enough to eat chocolate, they were lying to their son, which I know I lie to my kids about different things. Like, for instance, Taylor Swift. Have you guys heard of Taylor Swift? Probably the most famous musician in the world today. My daughter, second grade, loves Taylor Swift. She doesn't listen to music. She doesn't know anything about music, but that's all they talk about, Taylor Swift. So I put Taylor Swift on for her in the car. And of course, the first question is, wow, I didn't know Taylor Swift had such a deep voice and sounds like a man. And she's in a band, Sounds just like Paul McCartney. Who knew? Who knew? Sometimes like John Lennon. Sometimes like Led Zeppelin. Taylor Swift has a wide variety. Her vocal range is amazing. Goes from Elvis to Led Zeppelin to the Beatles.
And she bought that?
Yeah, to Kiss. I mean, I don't know if she buys it, but So anyway, where was I? I'm on the story of Honi the circle maker. Okay, good. Honi the circle maker. So Honi was journeying on the road. He saw somebody planting a carob tree. And he said, how long does it take for a tree to bear fruit? And the man replied, 70 years.
Oh, wow.
Honi then further asked him, are you certain that you will live another 70 years? The man replied, and this is the most profound passage in Judaism. It comes from the Talmud on ecology. And the man replied, I found already grown carob trees in the world. As my forefathers planted those for me, so I too plant these for my children.
We have, can
That
I,
is
I'm
a beautiful saying, probably the most, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, I love that. I found a piece of art, Jewish art, that had that saying. I don't know if any of you have ever been to my house, have seen it, but I had it as sort of the anchor of pictures of all of our children, grandparents, great grandparents. And I love that saying. I love
It's
that
a
quote.
beautiful saying, and you can
Yeah,
use it for
yeah,
a lot of things. It doesn't have to be
yeah.
taken literally, but
I
it
would
can
show
be
it to you, but
taken
it's
literally.
packed.
Again, so I'll read it one more time. It's so beautiful in its poetry. I found already grown carob trees in the world, as my forefathers planted those for me, so I too plant these for my children. Obviously, there's other subtle differences in translations, but it can be made for anything. It can be for virtues. My forefathers taught me virtues, I teach it to those. But in this case, it literally can be construed as what I'm doing for now is been given to me from the past. I have to pass it on, which is the theme of Judaism, an unbroken train. And in this case, ecology is an essential part of it. So beautifully done. Um, but there are other sayings as well. That's just, of course, almost everybody's favorite one because it's so good. So I'll read a couple of others. This one is from a 19th century Yiddish poem whose pen name was Shalom Yaakov Abramovich. A carob that is selected to be blessed upon Tu B'Shvat is, for the people of Batlan, the best fruits of the land, second to none. When people see this carob, the memory of the land of Israel spreads out before them. They gaze and gaze at it and sigh, saying, Oi, would that our Father, our merciful Father, lead us upright in every sense of the term, to our land where the carobs are but food for the goats. So in his eyes, what is he saying? He's saying, we're blessing this tree for Tu B'Shvat. I don't know why they use carob trees so often. Dates taste really good, but carob trees probably be based upon the Honi passage is used a lot when it comes to ecology. When we think of Israel, we think of dates, and we think of what's the other one? Dates and figs,
Figs,
fig and
figs.
dates. That's what you think about. But because the Honi, the circle maker story is about carob trees, we see so many others. That when you see a carob tree, think about Israel. Trees are being food for the goats. Why don't we move back there and eat the carob trees in the Holy Land? The tale is told of a man from the land of Israel who once brought with him a date to our town, and what a wondrous thing it was. Now, this is not a date like me bringing a woman to a party. I think they're talking about the date from a tree, right? That would be my guess. All the townsfolk, young and old, flocked to gape at it. They opened the 5 books of Moses and pointed out that the date, this very date, is mentioned in the Torah. There's no small matter, for this date is from the land of Israel. As they pored over it, the land of Israel glittered in a vision before them. Here they crossed the Jordan. There is the cave of Machpelah. That's where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, and I believe Leah are buried. Here is Rachel's tomb. There is the western wall. Here they bathe and boil eggs in the hot springs of Tiberias. There they scale the Mount of Olives, eating their fill of carobs and dates and filling their vessels with handfuls of the sacred soil. Oi, oi, they would sigh, tears welling up in their eyes. At that moment, Benjamin relates all of the people of Batlan, which I do not know where it is, would see themselves as if they're in the land of Israel and are engrossed in the arrival of the Redeemer. So what are they saying? They see this date. What kind of date is it? It's a holy date. It was there when Abraham lived in Israel. It was there when Moses was going into the land. When we see this date, or we see carobs, we should think of the land of Israel. But more importantly, we should think of the Messiah, because we should think of God, because fruit comes from God. And the Messiah will come when we're treating the land perhaps in the way it should be treated. It is a powerful statement. As some believe, the Messiah will come when everybody's a vegetarian, when we're eating vegetables and understanding. So let me just tell you that the people of Georgia will never see the Messiah. That's all I'm saying. It's going to skip. It's going to go from state to state and skip Georgia, Texas, and the country of Brazil, and everybody else can see the Messiah, because those areas, you can, maybe Montana, those 4 places, Montana, Texas, Georgia, and the country of Brazil, will never see the Messiah because we're all meat eaters. So this again is custom. So even to this day, we talk about Tu B'Shvat, and we have a Seder. What is a Seder? A Seder, I know it means order. And we, of course, have the Seder for Passover. This is the traditional one. But later, some believe it started with the Hasidim, or I read somewhere the followers of Shabtai Zvi. Shabtai Zvi was the guy who declared himself the Messiah. It was after the terrible massacres of the Khmelnytsky time in Ukraine. And they found this man was the Messiah, Shabtai Zvi. And then, of course, eventually he converts to Islam. But the followers started, either the followers of him or the Hasidim started maybe something called the Tu B'Shvat Seder. So, this is from an earlier text on it. On the 15th of Shvat, we gather in the Beit HaMidrash, or in the home, so in the house of study, or in the home, or either the sage. Candles are lit, white tablecloths are spread over the table, which are decorated with myrtle leaves, flowers, and plants, and sprayed with rose perfume. On the tables are pitchers of 2 types of wine, red and white. Okay. After studying the Torah, we pour the first 4 cups of wine, all from the white wine. Wheat cakes, olives, dates, and grapes are brought to the seats. Blessings are recited for the fruit and the wine we enjoy. Following this, we pour the second of the 4 cups, partly of red, but mostly of white. Figs, pomegranates, citrons, and apples are brought out. The third cup is poured, half from red and half from white. They bring out walnuts, almonds, carobs, and pears. Those seated study Torah and then raise the third cup to toast the new year. Finally, the 4th cup of wine, mostly red, mixed with a little bit of white, and desserts are brought out. So this is the Seder. There are 4 parts. 4 cups of wine. Why? Because
grapes come from trees.
Right, but here, good, grapes, we do it a very specific order. And I have one right here. This is the PJ Library one. I'll be using for the students. We have a special Tu B'Shvat program. Instead of having Sunday school here on Sunday, we're going to do the JA and have a big variety of programs. We were going to plant an etrog tree that somebody was bringing, but as it's going to be, 25 degrees when they would actually do the planting, we're going to probably not do that. Which is good, because I do not want to be there in 25 degrees, and I would have to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning as a rabbi. So how do we do it? We start off with, how do they want to make the 4 cups of wine distinct? We got red wine and white wine. So you start off with white wine, then you go to majority white wine and minority red wine. Then it's the
half and half.
half and half. And then it's the mostly red wine.
Do they mix them in the same glass? Is that the idea?
Yeah, you can mix
Same
them in the same
cup?
glass. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got white, mostly white. And then half and half, and then mostly red. Because obviously, mostly red looks like fully red, so. And while we're doing that, we have different fruits and vegetables we bring, and we discuss them from different perspectives. And there's very few points because, again, not all fruits and vegetables. You have fruits and vegetables you just eat. A grape, maybe not a grape, that's a carrot. You eat the whole carrot. You eat the whole grape if you eat the seed. There are fruits that you eat everything, just you eat it. There are other types. Some fruits have seeds that you eat. Some fruits have seeds or some sort of middle that you don't, like an avocado. Or you have some like grapes where you may be able to eat the seeds, or so you have some which have an inside you can't eat, an outside you can. Some have skin on the outside that you can eat, like an apple. And then some have skin on the outside you don't eat, like a pomegranate or a banana. And so it's a time to look at the various types of foods we eat. And there's a lot of different ways to see how there's meaning. Some people are hard on the outside, but once you get on the inside, they're really soft and considerate. Some people are soft and considerate on the outside, but they're kind of hard on the inside. So it's just a different way to reflect. And while we're doing this, we're eating all kinds of fruits and vegetables. So you're eating olives, which have a pit, and dates and grapes would have something on the inside. And then you're eating later figs and pomegranates and apples. And then you're eating walnuts and almonds and carobs and pears that taste differently. So it's a wonderful way to celebrate nature. For Jews, it is even more connected to us since modern Zionism was formed in the late 19th century. As we read from Mark Twain's visits to what was then a very small, insignificant region in the Ottoman Empire, it is a disgusting land. All there is desert, swamp, and there are no trees in the whole area.
Look at it now.
Exactly. So Israel was decimated, starting with the Romans, not when they destroyed the temple, but in a second rebellion called the Bar Kokhba Rebellion, in which they set fire to the country. And it never recovered. Through the various empires they took over, all the way to the Ottomans, it is a disgusting area that nobody cared about circa 1900. There's almost nobody living there. There's no cities. Jerusalem is the city. It's mainly, and there's a walled, the walled city of Jerusalem. There was nothing outside. You had some people living in Sfat. You had a small little port in Jaffa, but really nothing there. And then some Jews started moving there in small numbers, but what then did Jews around the world start doing? We started sending money to plant trees. And for every birthday or bar mitzvah or birth, you got so many certificates saying trees have been planted in your name. Until Israel, of course, becomes a land with trees. And they have a lot of trees. It's the only country in which the number of trees have increased over the last 100 years. It's usually the only country in the world in which the number of trees increases each year. There are other countries that do really well, like Costa Rica. Costa Rica has, I think, the highest percentage of natural protected forests in the world. And they've monetized it too, because they know, people will go there and walk around. They love it. So Israel has used the edicts we find in the Talmud, in the Midrash, in the Bible, and various other writings throughout history, and said, this is what we're going to do for our country. We're going to follow these edicts. And it's really quite impressive what they've done. Now, sometimes they planted the wrong trees. We know now that but they had the best of intentions. So we've all been, I think most of us have been to Israel. We've seen the forests. I know when I was growing up, I always wanted to go see my trees. I assumed my name was there in some sort of, stone claiming this is Robert Haas's trees for each time I got one. It's not the, now, what's the name of the organization that sponsored all this? It was the
JNF.
JNF, right?
Jewish National Fund.
Yeah.
So they concentrated on planting trees. Now, Israel has trees today. I mean, it's still important to plant trees, obviously, but it's not desperate as it was before. They even have trees in certain parts of the desert. So JNF has centered now more on ecology, on how do we keep the world clean, on cleanup, on reusable water, which we know Israel is by far the #1 country in the world for that. So Israel has really helped open our eyes even more, but we also know as the world has changed, ecology is such a big part of what's going on, and we hope and pray that our children and grandchildren will see a world that we've seen, that the earth will exist in this kind of beauty in the future. So that's what we're hoping. And so when we come to Tu B'Shvat for us this weekend, we're going to have the special program with the kids. All of Sunday school is going to be based on Tu B'Shvat. We have our annual meeting at 4 o'clock. At 3:30, there's a pre-neg, but any kids who want to come will go upstairs and they'll have a Tu B'Shvat program. We'll have our annual meeting, which will be very calm and soothing and relaxed with everybody united.
Are you saying it isn't usually?
It is usually. I'm just setting it out there to make that trend continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Afterwards, when we have our own egg, we're going to do some Tu B'Shvat stuff with different fruits and vegetables, and Cantor and I are going to lead that. So it's a nice way to honor the holiday, and hopefully we'll continue to celebrate Tu B'Shvat in the future. So as for what's coming up, let's go over the calendar. We've got Friday night service. Saturday is our new member Shabbat. Any new member out there, we have a special program for you at 9:30 with various people from the synagogue representing, telling you all the different things we do. Then you'll have a tour of the museum, obviously all free. And then we'll have services. All our new members who come will have the honor of the Aliyah. So that'll be very nice. Then on Sunday, we have our annual meeting. This is only for members. That's the only thing we have all year that's just for members. That's at 4 o'clock, followed by the Tu B'Shvat. It's not going to be really a Seder. It's going to be a Tu B'Shvat Oneg. Then on next Friday, we're going to have a really special program that Cantor is starting. It's called the Shabbat Seder Experience. And we're going to have a short service. I think the program starts at 5:30. We're actually going to have a virtual service. So we're going to record a service for anybody who doesn't come. So there'll be a regular service at 6. But anybody who comes, we're going to have a program where we're going to discuss Chinese Jewish history and have Chinese food together, made by Brian. So that's a paid dinner, but that should be a lot of fun. We'll talk centering, of course, on the Jews of Kaifeng, which is an ancient Jewish culture, and then the Shanghai Jews, which is a very modern Jewish culture. Those are the Jews who escaped World War II and the Holocaust, and went to, of course, Shanghai, where they were welcomed. So those are coming up. We have Mahjong on tonight at 6 o'clock for anybody who would like to celebrate a Jewish tradition. And
That, I'm sorry. That's one of the links between the Jews and the Chinese. And it goes back to in New York, when the immigrants were coming. Chinatown was adjacent to where the Jews lived on the Lower East Side. And that's kind of where the love of Chinese food and Mahjong kind of goes back to that.
isn't that
Oh,
awesome?
that's interesting.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
please join us for that. The
Yeah.
Brian's going to cater. For those of you who aren't members, and Super Museum Monday is on the 8th. So a lot of the museums in Savannah are going to be free, including our museum. So that'll be on the 8th of February. Is there anything else anybody wants us to note that's coming up? All right, the last thing I'm going to mention is next Wednesday, we're meeting at Eva and Paul's house for lunch and for, of course, study. It is still going to be online. So that'll be 11 o'clock next week. If you are living in Sun City, you don't need RSVP. If you're not living in Sun City, please let me know so we can make sure to have a pass for you. Anybody have any other questions or anything else?
Yeah. Did you say that next Wednesday starts at 11, not 10:30?
I'm sorry, did I say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It should be, okay, it should be 10:30. Did I say 11? It should
You
be
did.
10:30. All right, have I said that every time?
No.
All right, 10:30. It's the usual class time, so I apologize if I said 11.
But you also might want to send out their address.
The address is going to be, if you want the address, you RSVP. I can't just give them out. I'm just going to send an email with it. I don't think she wants
Okay.
that, right, Eva?
That's
So-
fine.
Yeah, just email us, and we'll
That's
give you
fine.
the address.
Call Eva. And Eva, I don't know if does she want us to bring things? I know she's here.
She doesn't need anybody to bring any food.
Okay.
And as for addresses, well, you all get if you have a different address than Michael, that's just don't ignore that. Nice joke, Michael. Did you get that one? Because you're going somewhere else.
Well, she just lives down the street from
Yes,
me,
okay.
so I'll find it. But
That's right.
But if you need an extra restroom, you can go to Michael's house. How's that?
I
That's
just want
fair.
to, can I just say, our synagogue in Marietta in Atlanta, that we belonged to before we moved down here, the sisterhood used to do a Tu B'Shvat Seder, and it was really lovely. And I don't know who of you, I know if any of you go to the Women of Mikveh Israel, right? It's something to talk about. It was very lovely, and really something we all look forward to every year.
And we have done that before, and we probably will again. Just happened this year. Coincidentally, it was the annual meeting.
Okay.
So we decided to do it with the annual meeting this year. But I'd love to have Sister do it.
Yeah, it
Sister
was
also
really nice.
does a very nice Passover Seder as well. So the men have a Passover Seder as well. It's basically steak and alcohol, and we say at least one prayer and mention that Passover's coming. So
How can I get invited to the men's Seder?
it's a fun Seder, yeah.
Said, how can I get invited?
Oh, our women are invited as well. I don't know what the alcohol this year is. Last year was tequila, which was interesting. It's generally alcohol that can be drunk during Passover. It's before Passover. So we've had bourbon. Actually, bourbon can't be drunk, so it doesn't have to be alcohol drunk on Passover. So,
vodka.
huh?
Certain vodkas.
But we did vodka one year. We did tequila. We've done bourbon. We did scotch, I think. I don't know what it is this year.
Can't be
Bubba
Passover.
Rosenthal.
It's before Passover. No.
That was Bubba's inspiration. Is that where that came from?
I think it was, yeah. And he still brings in. We always have somebody who comes in and explains the origins and history of the different alcohol we're tasting. And some of it's delicious, and some of it is not for my palate, but it's all fun. All right, so I look forward to seeing you guys in person this weekend or next Wednesday or for Mahjong. And again, all our best as Karen and Stuart prepare and pack. Hopefully they'll still join us on Wednesdays once in a while. You know, always
I hope
welcome
so.
here.
Yeah, I mean, that's our plan.
No pressure.
Okay.
But
No, I
there
want
will
to.
be signs outside and protests if you don't. Outside.
Oh,
your-
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, but we definitely, yeah, we want to continue our connection. So,
Well,
Maybe you can get Sue to log in with you.
yeah. It's
yeah, we may do that. Yeah, Sue Wiener's going to be my neighbor across the street.
Right.
I think I told you, right?
Yeah.
Did I, all of you knew that?
Yeah.
But just so happened that the place that became available is literally right in front of her.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah. So,
Well, I wish you all the best, and we'll make sure.
well, I'll see you before. Yeah, we'll
If
see
you're gonna
you
be
the
here
next
this
couple
weekend,
of
we'll
weeks.
give the blessing this weekend. If not, it'll be the next weekend.
Okay. I mean, our plan is to come the next 2 times.
All right, great. So we'll
Yeah.
do it this weekend, so don't
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
So thank you. Everybody's on here now. So thank you to Karen and Lou and Michael and Flossie and Arlene and Ron and David and Arnold and Eva and Paul and everybody else watching online. We look forward to seeing you next week. And just to entice you, if you've never had Eva's cooking, it is outstanding and very different because she is part Sephardic. So she has a wide range. And the last time we had it, what was it, 2 years ago there? I moved in for a couple of weeks
Nice.
doing well. So I stayed for, so yeah, so that is something to look forward to as well. So we will see you next week. Thank you everybody for joining us on the Wednesday class that shall not be named, and stay warm everybody, especially on Sunday where I know it's going to be freezing in some places.
Ugh.
Safe. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one,
Rabbi.
everybody. Shavua Tov.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.